There are stories that never made it into books, whispers that only survive in the mountains, where the wind still carries ancient memories. One of these stories speaks of a rare night when Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman Japan ever knew, did not face a samurai, but stood before Susanoo, the god of storms. It was an encounter that changed the fate of a warrior and revealed something that, to this day, few truly understand. And before we enter this story, a quick warning. If you are drawn to forgotten legends, ancient mysteries, deep philosophies, and tales that travel through generations, then you are in the right place. Subscribe now to the channel Lost Artifact Studio and turn on notifications, because here, every video is a new doorway into the unknown. Ready? Then take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear is a story that crossed centuries as a whisper. Have you ever heard the story almost no one tells? The night when Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman Japan ever saw, did not face a warrior, did not face an army, but came face to face with Susanoo, the god of storms. A single night that would change the destiny of a warrior forever, and perhaps change yours as well. It was late autumn. The wind cut cold between the trees, and the scent of rain announced a storm that had yet to arrive. Musashi walked slowly, his sandals sinking into the wet earth of the trail. He had just come from another duel, another victory. His opponent had been skilled, fast, precise, yet Musashi defeated him in seconds. And for the first time, he felt nothing. No pride, no satisfaction, not even the familiar emptiness he had learned to ignore. It was as if the world was losing its color. He entered the forest to think. But the deeper he walked, the heavier the night became. No crickets, no crows, no wind. It felt like walking inside a dream. He stopped. His hand moved instinctively to the hilt of his sword. "Who's there?" No sound. Then, a thunderclap echoed through the sky. Dry deep, but there was no lightning. No clouds. Impossible. Musashi steadied his breath. "Show yourself!" The ground trembled as if a colossal beast had awakened beneath it. Mist began to swirl, pulled by a wind that did not exist moments before. The trees bent as if an invisible presence passed among them. Then he appeared. First came the sound. Something between the roar of the sea and a mountain splitting in two. Then the form. A man with the stance of a warrior, hair flowing like storm clouds, eyes glowing blue in the darkness. His armor seemed forged from moving water itself, and the air around him smelled of rain, the god of storms, the wanderer, the untamed. Susanoo no Mikoto. Musashi swallowed hard, but did not step back. Susanoo studied him like a shadow being measured. "You are Miyamoto Musashi." It was not a question. It was a statement, heavy with meaning. "I am, and what does a god want with me?" Susanoo narrowed his eyes. "I want to see how deeply you truly believe in yourself." The air exploded into violent wind. Leaves spun in wild circles. Mist tore open like shifting curtains. Susanoo took a single step forward. When his foot touched the ground, it echoed like distant thunder. "They say you are the greatest swordsman in Japan," he said. "But tell me, Musashi, do you believe that?" Musashi paused. "I believe in my path." Susanoo smiled, brief and almost cruel. Is it the path of a swordsman, or the path of a man running from himself? Something inside Musashi tightened. "What are you talking about?" Susanoo opened his arms. "Want the truth, human? You don't conquer battles. You only change enemies." Musashi clenched his jaw. "And who is my enemy?" Susanoo extended his finger and touched Musashi's forehead. In a single instant, the world shattered into visions. Musashi saw himself as a child, weak, hiding behind his home, trying to escape family conflict. He saw the contempt of older warriors. He saw the fear he never admitted, the loneliness he carried as armor. A voice echoed inside his mind. "You fight not to feel. You train not to think. You win so you don't remember." "Stop!" Musashi shouted. The vision shifted. Now he stood on the island of the duel with Kojiro, the boat, the sunlight on steel. But Susanoo did not show the battle. He showed what came after. Musashi's eyes, hollow, victorious, yet empty. Susanoo's voice echoed behind him. "You mastered the sword, but lost yourself along the way." Musashi stood frozen. "Why show me this?" "Because it is time to stop running." The wind calmed. The rain ceased. Silence ruled. Musashi dropped to his knees, breathing deeply. Susanoo stepped forward and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Musashi, speak." You believe strength is never falling, but true strength is knowing what makes you fall. Musashi stood slowly. And what makes me fall? Susanoo answered with a voice almost human. The fear of not being enough. The truth struck him like a blade. I have always feared that. I know. Silence. Susanoo raised his hand toward the sky. Lightning crossed the clouds, yet none fell. Listen, Musashi. A warrior who only fights with a sword dies as an empty man, but a warrior who fights himself becomes a legend. Musashi looked at his reflection on the wet steel of his blade. And how do I win that fight? Susanoo began to walk into the wind. You don't win it. He looked back over his shoulder. You learn to walk inside the storm. Susanoo's body dissolved into moving air. First the hair, then the form, until only glowing eyes remained in the mist. Remember this, swordsman. The world does not fear your blade. It fears the man you may become. One last thunderclap echoed, and Susanoo vanished. The forest breathed again. The air returned to life. The storm ended before it truly began. Musashi stood alone, but something inside him had awakened. He sheathed his sword and whispered, "From this day on, I no longer seek to defeat men. I seek to defeat what prevents me from growing." And he walked on, without fear, without haste, without running. They say that after that night, Musashi changed forever, not because of strength, not because of duels, not because of fame, but because, for the first time, he confronted what he had hidden within himself, the storm that lives behind every pair of eyes. And you? What storm is your soul still trying to cross? If this universe speaks to you, if stories like this awaken something inside you, then you will connect with what we create at Lost Artifacts Studio. There you will find wall art, clothing, and accessories, inspired by Japanese culture, ancient legends, yokai, samurai, mystic forests, and symbols filled with meaning. Designed for those who refuse to be ordinary and choose instead to carry mystery, strength, and history as part of their own identity. Visit now lostartifactsstudio.com and choose what matches your journey.